with people. It's happening younger in many ways.
Yeah.
Where we have the bane of my existence, which is driving dementia. And that's where I get in the car and go to Home Depot to get duct tape. And next thing I know, I'm in Cincinnati and I'm locked in a lion cage at the zoo with no pants, and nobody's going to be able to track that down.
Right.
And that's happening more and more because there's something that happens with driving dementia where people get like they become this super navigator. They get somewhere that I couldn't get. We had years ago, and this guy's like my, missing person hero. He went missing in Bucks County. He was blind, and he was a day later or whatever. He was in Cincinnati and found alive and well. Yeah. He had no money. He got from Bucks County to Cincinnati without incident, blind.
Right.
Yeah, if you put me out there and blindfolded me, I would just lay down on the ground and wait for some nice person to come along.
Exactly.
I don't even know how he did that. And thank God he made it out okay. But that's why you have to do investigation, know whether or not it's worth looking for the person, because what are we looking for here? And sometimes it's a lot of guessing. But we go back to that 20% where you can't mess with that 20%. That's life and death in there.
Yeah.
The other 80% is people. That's drama, emotion, domestic stuff.
Right.
But that 20%, that's life or death.
Right.
How many people are working with you on the project?
So far, I have about 8 people.
And what's the age range there?
I have to say that, and I mean this in the most respectful way. The oldest, I guess, person I have on my team is a woman. She's about 40 something.
Okay.
In her 40s. Yeah, she's in her 40s. She's ironically enough, she is very interested in missing person cases because her daughter went overseas, and she got robbed. But she was well versed in research and well versed in, missing persons, that she was able to, she knew exactly what to do if a daughter would have gone missing. She knows exactly what to do.
Oh, there's a lot of mothers out there, a little freaky, scary with tracking stuff down.
Like, what?
Yeah, there's a lot of mothers out there that will come up with stuff and everything, and you get people that just like, man, you did all the work. There's a high percentage of these cases that are resolved or kept alive just because a parent, and usually a mother, kept it alive.
Yeah. When
it should be kept alive by, it's still a law enforcement, it's still a public safety issue. Yeah. So how did the team of people that come together?
Yeah. So it's funny because I've been trying to put this whole thing together for a while, since I've left the show. A lot of things, personal things happen in my life, but I look at it like this: everything happens for a reason. So during that time of my life, I'm trying to build this team of people, but it just wasn't working out for me. I'm like, man, what the heck is going on? Then I'm going through all this personal stuff, and then finally, I was at this studio. It's called Philly Cam, as I was telling you about, and I was at this Christmas event and mixing and mingling with people, trying to find like camera people, trying to find, directors, producers, just trying to put together a production crew. Because a production crew, honestly, you can teach someone how to do production. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. So when it came to more or less of the research part, I was very adamant in finding someone who can help me with that. So while I was at this Christmas event, someone came to me and said, "Hey, listen, there's a woman here who is interested in doing missing person stories as well. Y'all should team up." I'm like, okay, cool. I'm thinking, well, maybe she just have an interest,
Right.
She's just interested in doing it.
You want her to entertain her.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So when I spoke to her, she called me up. It's funny because I put a flyer out on social media saying, hey, I'm looking for a crew. And I put researcher, fact checker, stuff like that on the flyer. And she reached out to me. The very woman that I was looking for reached out to me. And it just so happened to just work out that way. She reached out to me. We had a conversation. She works in the lab and she does research for a living. So we just worked out. We hit it off, and she said, hey, yeah, I'm very interested in missing persons. I know this, and that. I'm like, wow, you are the person that I needed. But she just so happened to be the same person that reached out to me was the same person that I just got told about 2 weeks prior. I'm like, man, you can't ask for a better situation. So that's how she got on my team. And so now, she's doing all the research. I'll send her stories, and she'll send me stories, and we'll just research it together. My team find stories, because you can always, you searching online, you searching on social media. One of my camera guys, he sent me a story, but it doesn't mean it's a story that I'm going to do. But he's vigilant.
Well, that's the problem, is that you get in like my I tell this story about my grandmother had these bells from all over the world. And whenever you go anywhere, you get her a bell. And she got this smaller place. She had bells everywhere. And so when she got older and sicker, it's like, well, what about the bells? And she said, I don't even like the bells. I don't even like the bells. The bells have been here everywhere. She said, your grandfather got married. 2 people got us bells for wedding gifts. We didn't have anything on the mantle. We put the bells up. People would see the bells. They bring more bells. Bells just kept coming and coming and coming. Bells everywhere. And then people came. They wanted to see their bells up. And all of a sudden, they got an army of bells up. And when you're doing missing persons, people think that you're always looking for missing person cases. And they'll send you stuff like, kind of sharing it. Like other people get like jokes or memes or whatever. And you'll get like a missing kid flyer.
Yeah.
And it'll just send it to you, know, and it's like, and it's weird because, not to say this is your guy, but lots of times people send it to you and they don't give a rat's butt about the case.
No,
they're just kind of flipping it, and that's their involvement, and that's where I get off the boat, because I don't like this prayers and shares thing on Facebook versus actually doing something. And I know everybody can't do something, but there's too many people out there.
Thank you.
That think they're helping by merely popping it along. So if you go missing in Wichita and I share it in Maine, I mean, I'm doing something, but there's not going to be a hug or whatever, and it doesn't revolve around me. It's prayers and shares instead of just going out there and doing something. And it's not to say that you got to get in your car and give up your life and go help on that particular case. Just do something. I don't agree when they call this digital stuff on all levels activism. Activism is a little bit more. You got to go out and do more. You got to get your hands dirty. You got to get involved. And if you can't do that, and all you can do is prayers and shares, yes, that's fine. But this whole thing where it becomes this competition to see who can be more empathetic about the plight of a stranger based on how appealing the stranger looks to them is pathetic.
Yeah.
It's pathetic.
Yeah. And
you can't see it because it's radio, but he was agreeing with me.
Yeah, it's difficult, man. I mean, you're right. There's this one social media page that I follow, and their niche is like gun violence in the city of Philadelphia. But I'm starting to see like missing person stuff on there. I know why, because I tagged that person one day and now they want to start putting up stuff, which is fine. But the issue that I have is that, dude, like you got people commenting on this, 100 people commenting on this one picture. Oh yeah, you know, prayers and stuff like that, which is great. But also on the flip side, you have people like, oh man, you know, she probably had problems at home. He probably had problems at home. Like, and it's like, everybody's not a journalist. Like, I don't believe in citizen journalists. I don't believe in that. I just don't. Everyone's not a journalist. Let's take our time and figure out what's going on. But people do it subconsciously. They're not thinking about it. They're just doing it because they think they're helping.
Well, they've got to add something, and they've got to be the opinion that's going to crack the case. They've got to add something to it. And what bothers me is that when somebody is missing, the family is reading all this crap that's spewed out by people. and they're taking it to heart. They're not just blowing it off and moving some. So when you look at a picture and go, well, that person looks like they did this, you don't know anything.
Right.
You don't know anything. So don't shut your cake hole. You know, you don't know anything.
Wow.
You know,
that's a good one.
You know, and it just, you know, and you talked about how you tag somebody and now they're doing it. And missing persons is one of those things that's really weird, that you see somebody that's lightly impacted and all of a sudden they're a self-proclaimed expert in it.
Right.
And, you know, and you just get it, you know, my favorite show when I was growing up was MASH. I've seen every episode of MASH 10 times. Loved it. It was one of the longest running shows that held its consistency. At no point did I think I was a surgeon now watching MASH. Nowadays, people go watch a 2-minute YouTube video.
That's true.
And think they know something. They think they've got an education on something. And missing persons is a lot more complicated than that. It's gotten more complicated than I ever knew it was. And it continues to get more complicated because social media, it's an aggravator. It's an amplifier. It's like digital alcohol. It's a revealer. Yeah. You know, and it can help if we use it right. But we tend to muddy everything. And it comes down to somebody saying somebody looks big in them jeans or something petty, and all turns into high school, and then it becomes a slappy fight online. Right, exactly. You know? and it takes away from the missing person. And what I would say to people is you should not be doing anything on that page or commenting in any way, anything that takes away from the missing person. Right. You are not the story. You are a distraction, and you should not take away from the story. And that's what I have when these people are over emoting and everything. And then the other thing I have that I hate is I hate it when the family looks and sees, well, my missing person has 1,000 likes, but this one has 2,000. Right. You know, because it's putting a value. Right. It's putting a value in whether we like it or not. You know, when we go on you know, the interwebs, and we put up our picture of a kitten and we get less likes than somebody else that puts up a kitten picture, we feel a little hurt, you know. It's Russell just put up a picture of 2 cats having a slap fight, and that's what it is. I watch these things start out with the best of intentions and just go so off track online, and there's no accountability, and it just takes away. And then the bad part is that these things aren't become unreliable outlets, and you avoid them. Like if you go on, there's a couple pages, I'm not going to name them because I don't want to give one extra click. But there's a couple pages where they will just speculate on what happened to somebody, and they do not. You see the same people doing theories that contradict their own theories, just throwing everything against the wall that sticks. Right. And have you encountered any psychics yet? No. Oh, oh, look at you!
Wait! Hold on. Let me think about that. I don't think so. I think I was in a situation where someone was like, I'm going to go see a psychic, or maybe I don't know. I don't think so. Or maybe that was you telling me that. Maybe you were telling me one of your stories or something I think that's what it was. You were telling me one of your stories. But no, I have not encountered a psychic, no.
Well, a general rule of thumb with this is to tell people, do not give anybody any money. Yeah. Money does not change the outcome of these things. No. Do not give anybody any money. Out of Kensington and Allegheny in Philadelphia, Kensington, Allegheny, and people may not appreciate this, but there's a drug problem going on. It's been going on for years. Yeah. And Kensington, Allegheny, from the people that I deal with, said that it is the Riviera of fine drugs. Yeah. You can get good drugs, or you can get them over in Camden too, but not as good. And people that use drugs shop in places where you've got a high. It's like a restaurant. If you've got a big clientele, the food's always fresh. Doesn't have a chance to get old. It's always tested. You know you're getting it's going through, and people go there for that. But it's become popular down there for people to reach out and try and extort money from families of people that go missing down there. And you've got there's a couple down there that actually works this grift together that I've dealt with. The guy goes in at about $2,500 to $4,000 is what he tries to extort. He'll meet you somewhere.
What?
Show you pictures.